اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, we're going to go through four letters in our second lesson. We've done alif, ba, ta, and tha. We're now going to go through jim, ha, ha, and dal. Jim, it comes from the middle part of the tongue, as seen in this image. The middle part of the tongue touches the middle part of the mouth, so the roof of the mouth. And we say the letter G. There are some people that would press the middle part of the tongue to the roof and say G, G, or press the sides of the tongue to the sides of the mouth or to the roof. We want to just be able to touch the middle part of the tongue to the roof without using any other part of the tongue. So that's the sides or the front or the tip. So we touch the middle to the roof of the mouth directly located above the middle part of the tongue and say ja, ji, ju. So if you say that with me, ja, ji, ju. Do not press it as ja, ji, ju. You don't want to give an extra push. You don't want to give an extra push to the sound. You don't want to give an extra strong sound to the G. Inshallah. For the letter ha, and of course, in a lot of books, you will not get this technique. This is one of the techniques that I came up with after studying Arabic for quite a long time. One of the ways that I have taught this letter successfully is by going through this technique that most of us would know. As a child, when you have probably been traveling in a car, sitting with your family, usually at the back, your car windows may steam up. And usually what children do is write something on the window due to the steam. So as you can see in this steamy window in the back of the car and you're writing. Now, when you've written what you wanted to write and you wipe it off, that steam disappears. Now, in order for you to create that steam again, you will breathe out and create this steam or a vapor by breathing out. And then blowing on or breathing out onto the window to create another vapor or steam so you can write again. And that breathing motion that you do, ha, ha, that breathing motion, whether you're cleaning your glasses, whether you are steaming on the window, that in itself is a process in which you could start to do as a technique, as an exercise, in order for you to say this letter correctly. So, if you start doing the motion, ha, he, ho, ha, he, ho, and then you always have that steam, that breath coming out slightly when you say this letter. So, ha, he, ho, ha, he, ho. If you add a ever so slight smile to your ha, you will be able to say it correctly because the ha comes from the middle part of the throat. So remember we looked at in the previous video, the hamza comes from the further part of the throat. The ha comes from the middle part of the throat. The ha, it comes from the top of the throat, so the top part of the throat. Now, the way to say the letter ha, one of the techniques that I've come up with is when you're doing gargling. So when you wake up in the morning and you start to gargle and you tip your head at the back and you go, go, and then you say go, go. Now, we are going to do a letter go, and this technique will be very helpful for that letter. But from the same articulation point comes the letter ha. So if we just do the gargling sound, go, 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 find that place in our throat where we gargle. And from the same position, we say ha, 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 ha. So it's like a k and a h together. Ha, ha. And this is a heavy letter, so you can say ha. It comes from the top part of your throat. So if you say ha properly, you'd feel a sensation at the top part of your throat. We're now going to go to the letter dal. Dal comes from the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue we put at the meeting point of the gum line and the top two incisors. So a little bit like the letter we saw in the last lesson, which is the there. There and there come from the same articulation point. However, the sound here is a the. And the previous sound was ta. It's not a complete t in the English. So t is not the t sound, it's the. And this is not a completely d sound, d, but very close, like a d. It's not d, d. Well, it is quite close. Da, da. Okay, da. You find the d sound, and then you say da. So it's almost like a d and a h together. And that is the letters for today, inshallah. Now, what we're going to do is now turn to our Arabic Gateway to Arabic, Book 1, and we're going to start practicing the letters, inshallah. So, as I've said, you do need to download this from the internet and go through the writing. So, the first thing we're going to do is look at number 1. So, you have some letters here that you could trace over initially just to get the hang of it. We're going to first go across number 1. Then I'm going to do it like an English C, which goes all the way around, and then I'm going to place a dot in the middle, and that is the letter G. So we're going to go across, down as a C, and then a middle dot, I beg your pardon, a middle dot for the G letter. Okay, now let's scroll down, inshallah, to look at, so just minimize my page so we can get both letters in today. So this is the letter H, which I talked about as a steaming her. So we go across and the C like that. And we say H. So mine is slightly curled, but that's because I'm doing it online. And well, let's just do it here. And then we go across and a nice C here, and then a dot at the top. So you may notice that for the ha, we have no dots. Okay, so let's just, for ha, we have no dots on ha. For ha, we have a dot on top, ha. And if you remember, for the G, where is the dot? The G, the dot is in the middle. So these, I call them like the brothers, three brothers. So G has a dot in the middle. Ha has no dot. So the middle letter, okay, between G, ha, and then the last letter is ho, ho, and that has a dot at the top. Our next letter is dal, dal, san, but we say dal, dal, dal. That's why I said it's not really like a D sound. So basically what I'm going to do is number 1, bring it to my line here and then just take it out here. Okay. So it's like a little curve here. So it's not like a straight V here. It's not like that. So you can do a slight curve there. And inshallah, that is our lesson for today. Jazakumullah khair. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do practice reading and writing these letters. Inshallah, see you next time. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.